Hello, and welcome to Voices Unleashed, in which we celebrate musicians, singers, artists, and their influence on our community and beyond. My name is Alexandra Babel, and I have been having so much fun doing this series, and so grateful to Now Media for this opportunity. Today, I'm really so happy to introduce to you my friend and colleague, Jayla Ward.
Hello. Thank
Hi.
you for having me.
So Jayla and I, we know each other in an unusual way. I first met her sister, who was a member of Candeska, and then her mother, who became a voice pupil of mine, and continues to be one. And in the process of learning about this family, I learned about Jayla, who has an incredible talent for composition. So when I learned about this skill, I then learned about what she wants to do and what she started to do. And we want to talk to her about that and celebrate that. So welcome, Jayla.
Thank you so much.
So, hey, we matched. We look good. All right. In real life, this dress is green, but on camera, it's turned into this interesting orange. I don't know why. So it's very interesting. Tell me a little bit about your beginning as a musician. How did you first start training your voice or your piano, or what was your instrument?
Yeah, so I guess my initial instrument was the piano. All 5 of my siblings and I started taking lessons, but it only lasted a few months. And then my mom kind of took us out because we were, I guess, progressing a little unevenly, and she didn't want that to cause any rifts in our
competing, comparing among siblings.
Yes.
Your mom's the referee, right?
Yes, exactly.
How many siblings now?
6 siblings, so 7 including me. Yeah.
Wow, that's a big family. Well, that's amazing. And your mother is completely fit and trim. I don't get it. I don't know how she does it. Anyway, so you started in piano, and then?
Yeah, and then so after that few months, I took a break and moved over to the violin. And that was when I was about 8, I think. And I did the violin for a year, and my mom had to bribe me to practice the violin by saying I could play the piano. So I think after a year of that, she kind of came to the realization that maybe it would be a good idea.
So wait, if you practice your violin,
yes,
I'll let you go back to the piano.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So we kind of figured that out, and then I started piano when I was about, I guess, 9 or 10, and then continued on through the RCM.
So that's the Royal Conservatory of Music. So you went all the way through the program.
Yeah, I finished with my ARCT.
Wow.
In my graduation year. Yeah.
ARCT is
the Associateship of the Royal Conservatory of Music.
Yeah, something like that.
Something.
Anyway, if you go through this program and you finish all the grades up to that ARCT level, it's like having an associate degree in music from a college or so.
Yes.
Yeah, this Royal Conservatory of Music is an accredited music program, but it's often, all the teachers are in all the towns all throughout Canada. It's also a thing in England, and now it's actually a thing in the States as well. So it's a beautiful program for classically minded individuals that give you a strategic way of seeing your progression, right? So every level has like actual repertoire that you have to play for your exam, but then there are co-requisites. You have to know theory, history, sight singing, you have to know your intervals, you have to know your scales and arpeggios. So it's a whole thing. And so the program is quite extensive, but it gives an opportunity for private students and their teachers to have a way of getting accreditation. So after that, typically it's okay for you to start teaching. So did you?
I did, yes.
Okay.
I started teaching at first in Saskatchewan because I was there for school for a few years, and then I came back and worked at a music school for the last kind of 3.5 years.
That's great.
Yeah.
Do you enjoy teaching?
I do, yeah. I took a step back because I'm also a student and getting my degree, my teaching degree right now for the education system. So yeah, so that was a bit much. So I took a step back from teaching.
But so you have your bachelor's degree already, and you're doing your last year, which gives you the opportunity to get into the public school system?
Yeah, yeah. So it's the Bachelor of Education.
Okay.
Yes.
So then you'd be able to teach any grade or any subject, or what do you end up with?
Pretty much any grade. They kind of split us into two sections, one for teaching adolescents and one for teaching children. So I'm in the teaching adolescents stream, but you can really do anything with it.
Oh, wow.
Once you're done, yeah.
Okay, that's great. You know, and I love that about you, that you have this amazing plan. Like your feet could be firmly planted on the ground with an actual daytime job.
Yes.
Have you ever heard of the phrase, don't quit your day job? Well, a lot of the musicians that I know would love to pour themselves into their passion, but doesn't always pay for the groceries, the rent, etc. So my dad asked me to get an education degree first as well.
Okay.
Because, you know, my papa from Ukraine and being an immigrant with this wonderful opportunity to live in the West told me that the best thing a woman could do is be a secretary or a teacher. Those were the two options back in the day, according to papa. We've changed. But, so I got an education degree as well at first, and then did my student teaching and realized that I'd like to go on, get my master's, etc., in opera performance. But you have another passion that I think is so relevant, so accessible, and so current, and that is making music for movies.
Yes.
Okay, so what was your first inclination to go in that direction?
Well, it's always been, I guess, kind of a dream of mine. Like, I've always loved writing music, and I've written a lot of music on the piano. And I think the first kind of score, I guess, that I wrote was actually for a novel series that I had written. And so I think connecting the music to the story was really relevant for me.
You wrote music for a novel series.
Yes.
How does that work?
Well, it was all
you buy the book.
Well, it was
the link. I don't know.
It was all stuff that I had written, so I was very, very close to kind of the story and the heart and what it was trying to do, and all the characters and all of that. So it was a really fun, I guess, kind of experiment for me to see how I could match the music that I was writing to kind of the different scenes and the different phases of the book. Yeah,
that's fascinating. So I have a question for you. Yeah. In opera, this is my world, where I come from: opera, art, song, orchestral music, symphonic music. But typically in opera, a composer will choose a leitmotif for each character. Yes. And a leitmotif, if my friends out there need a little help with that term, you probably already know this, but leitmotif is like that little bit of music that reminds you of a specific character. And if I could give you all an example, it might be Darth Vader. And he has this music, it comes on and you know it's Darth Vader, right? This little theme, and you go, that's him. And even if he's not on stage, everyone's thinking of him because there's this theme, right? And Tristan and Isolde that Wagner wrote, this was very much Wagnerian. It really, Wagner gets credit for the leitmotif, right? Back in the day, if any of you've seen Jaws, you hear the music, da-dum,
da-dum, I was just thinking of that one, actually.
There's a leitmotif right there, right? And so even on stage, if Giselle is not on stage, but we hear her little motive, we know the lover is thinking of her, etc. So leitmotifs have this way of representing individuals, but also emotions have a way of representing individuals. Intervals have certain personalities. For example, the 1 to the 5 is a twinkle, twinkle. That's 1 to 5. That's very pleasant. But the 1 to the 5 flat is a tritone, da, 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 and it's really actually verboten in the old church, right? So Mozart was one of those guys that would get away with things and write choruses with tritones in it because he was very naughty. I'm asking you in a long-winded way, have you considered it? Do you write with the leitmotif in mind?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, and those little themes. I'm actually just working on a project right now where there's one of those specifically in it. I think it can just enhance so much of what the audience is seeing, right? Because it can also kind of preemptively tell the audience what they're about to see in another way, and so that's a really exciting thing for me to kind of cue the audience and almost have some foreshadowing beforehand.
Sound foreshadowing.
Yes, totally.
Exactly. There's also the echoing or a memory of someone with a leitmotif. It's amazing. It's an amazing tool. And when I found out you were interested in this, I connected you with a previous guest on the show, if everybody remembers. Tell us who and why and how that went forward.
Yeah, so Amanda Colley is amazing, and she got connected with me. I initially chatted with her, kind of not really knowing what the whole scope of writing music for film even looked like. And obviously it had been a dream of mine and something I had dear friends in high school who pushed me and had always been telling me, you need to do this. And I kind of, my response was, I mean, I would love to, but I don't really think that that's possible. And so it kind of always seemed like this thing that you could only do if you were kind of Hans Zimmer level, like
Right.
in Hollywood and all of that. And that's not
Right.
really something I was drawn towards, I guess, but the music I loved and the idea of it I loved. So I didn't really, I guess, even see it as an option. And then talking to Amanda, it was incredible to hear her story and how she got started. I think she was a guest on the show.
She
and she's
was.
got a
Her
whole,
story is amazing. In one of the
whole-
previous episodes, you
yeah.
can look back, and she's won many awards. She's an astounding composer with a similar start to yours.
Yeah.
Right? She started with piano first and classically trained and then moved on into this other genre, but it's fascinating to me. What were some of the things that Amanda encouraged you to do that gave you an escape from those self-limiting beliefs that this is not going to happen, this is not going to happen for me?
Yeah, I guess it was the tangible things like making a website and like getting things on social media. She said she had looked me up and there was nothing there. And I was like, that makes sense because I didn't have anything on there. Yeah. And so those things, and then going to film festivals
Right.
and just connecting with people and meeting people
Yeah.
and making contacts and connections, because that's really where, like, especially when you're not over in Hollywood or doing the thing on that scale, that's really how it works.
Totally.
And so I stepped into that.
So are they film festivals or specifically composer festivals? What kind of festivals?
So it's film festivals.
Oh, I see.
Because that's where the filmmakers are. And so
And they'll be looking
go to
for
connect.
Right.
Totally.
Right. So they'd be
Yeah.
looking for someone to add music to their scene.
Yeah.
It's amazing how much different the scene is with one kind of music versus another. We were talking about this the other day.
Yeah.
You put a certain kind of music to a scary scene and it's silly. And all of a sudden you add scary music to absolutely nothing happening and it's scary. The music determines how the audience is to feel. And I find that so fascinating. There's a lot of opportunity for creativity, but also you are actually controlling quite a bit of the emotional response of the audience. That's quite a daunting task, a lot of responsibility there. So I know that you've got a lot of content online now, but before I let everyone know how they can reach you, we have a clip. I wanted you to tell me a little bit about this clip and what exactly you were doing, what your intention was. Set this up for us, and then RJ will play the clip for us.
Yeah, so this is a clip from the Indie Film Music contest that I entered a while back. And it was one of those, like we were just talking about, it was one of those videos that kind of, I didn't fully get it at first. I had to watch it quite a few times in order to fully kind of understand what the heart behind it was. And then once I was able to find that, which is it's a film about really identity and finding oneself and accepting themselves for who they are, all parts of them. And so once I kind of settled with that, then the composing became that much easier, right? Because that's whenever you're composing, you have to know what the heart is behind it. At least for me, that's my way. And so I guess there are a few different sounds. There are two different characters. There's a girl and this kind of fire spirit that kind of is herself, I guess. And so there are two motifs. One of them is using strings. This is for the girl because she's got kind of a lot of complex and darker emotions that she's working through. And the fire is this kind of light piano motif that's happening. And so they kind of blend together. And yeah, I guess this scene is kind of their reuniting and resolving the conflict and all that. So yeah, I had a lot of fun writing it.
I
Yeah.
think we're going to enjoy this. Let's take a peek. Thank you.
I'm sorry, I can't. I still need you. I'm sorry.
Wow, it's very emotional. The sounds are emotional. This beautiful artwork too.
Yeah.
Incredible. How do these? That's just emotional. It just took me a minute, right? You kind of sweeps you off your feet. I wasn't expecting that. Well, really, only that little clip, and I had this huge visceral response to it. Really amazing. Well, when these sounds come to you, do you work on it, or do they just kind of drop on you? Are you in a meditative state and they sort of drop on you, or are you working on a little melody and you erase and try again? And is it a laborious thing, or is it are you like Mozart, where it's just like you can't write it down fast enough?
I would say more so that.
That one.
There are certain kind of, I guess, sections that take a little bit more time to sort out, but really once I have the start of the melody, it kind of just crashes in, and at that point it's just a matter of getting everything down,
right,
and adding in the instruments that are going to support it. So there's kind of, I guess, two phases, which is the creative part where there's just everything's coming in and you're just kind of trying to get everything down, and then the more technical part where you're editing sounds, right, and you're making sure everything's mixed.
Do you have a sound engineering studio in your home?
Yes.
Oh,
well, I guess kind of. So I use a digital audio workspace. I use Pro Tools personally, but it's pretty much my computer and my piano beside me.
Oh,
that's pretty much
amazing.
Yeah.
So we're going to broadcast this to the whole world. Who would you like to shout out to and say, I need to meet you, I want to play music for your films?
Oh my goodness.
Why not?
You know
Why
what?
not? Who?
Christopher Nolan.
Okay, Christopher, are you watching? We're going to tag you everywhere, Christopher. She deserves it. You should hear her other stuff. It's really good. And how can our listeners find you?
So I'm on Instagram. My handle is JLaward Music, and then my website as well is jlawardmusic.com.
Oh, it's so easy. It's just her name. How easy. It doesn't get all complicated like that. No. Well, Jayla, we wish you the very best for your continued success. You have the attitude and the aptitude, and I've listened to all your other clips to make a success of this, and I love being here at the beginning. We're going to bring her back after a few wins and have her back to congratulate her again. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you to all of you out there, and we'll see you next time.